Hey everybody, how you doing? Leonard Aguilar here, President of the Texas AFL. Appreciate you guys joining us. We're going to get started here in just a minute. Waiting for a couple of things a couple of pieces to fall into place, and we'll get started. Hey Lorraine, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
We are doing well, doing well. Excited about the call tonight. We're going to give it one quick minute, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Gonna look for the cue to get going here. But again, appreciate everybody jumping on. It's an exciting time here in Texas. The opportunities they're right in front of us. They're within our reach, and it's going to take all of us to come together to be able to make that happen. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So here we go. Again, my name is Leonard Aguilar. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. I'm the president of the Texas AFL-CIO.
Yes, and I am Lorraine Montemayor. Good evening, everyone. Glad y'all are here with us. And I am the Secretary Treasurer of the Texas AFL-CIO.
So together we work to represent the Texas AFL-CIO and more than 250,000 union members across the state of Texas. And as we head into this Labor Day season, this Labor Day celebration that we have, we are wanting to engage with members. We're wanting to talk to members about the wins that we have, again, that are within reach and the changes that we can make in Texas in the campaign cycle that we have in front of us. And so I want to thank you again for joining us as we officially kick off our Texas Labor Votes 2026 program. It's an exciting time, like we said. So we are happy you were here. We want to see that you're here. So if you guys can, in the chat, if you can put the name and the city, the union that you are representing, we would appreciate it. We want to see who's here, and want to get to know everybody. But as we just got back, we did our listening tour here over the last year. I think it is that we were going across the state of Texas. We did 11 labor town halls. We drove or traveled almost 5,000 miles total and talked to over 600 union members. In that, we heard from union members themselves about what was important to them. What were the issues that they're facing at their local, in their house, at their kitchen table. And the things that we were told over and over is that we must organize. We must educate. We need to focus on worker issues. We need to just get back to basics, and we must change how we fight so we are able to win at the ballot box and beyond. It's not just about winning that election, it's going past that and what we do after we win these elections. So, and that feedback is guiding our 2026 program, because it's going to take all of us to elect pro-worker candidates across the state of Texas.
Yeah, that's right, Leonard. It was so much fun traveling the road with you and our staff across our ginormous state. It was great to hear from our members. And so this election cycle, everyone, we are focusing on 4 top issues in our key races. All right, so number 1, that is affordability. We need leaders who will raise worker wages and tackle raising costs. Second, education. We need leaders who will fully fund public schools. 3 is healthcare. We need leaders who will lower all our healthcare costs. And 4th, retirement. We need leaders who will protect retirement benefits so we can all retire with dignity after a lifetime of work. Again, it's going to take each of us, all of us, to win the change that we need in Texas. And today you'll hear from some of the people working to make it happen.
That's right, Lorraine, and it's important. It's something that I say all the time when we're out and we're talking to folks, we're talking to members, is that the one thing that connects us all and the one thing that brings us all together is our labor. That's one thing that connects us all across this state. We know that hard work should be enough, but unfortunately right now it's not enough. It's getting harder and harder to put food on the table. It's getting harder and harder to put gas in the gas tank. It's just everything that we have is getting more expensive, and it's getting more difficult for us to be able to come about and be able to provide that for ourselves and our family. And it's just unfortunate, and it shouldn't be that way. Because working people are struggling, right? Working people are struggling because of corrupt politicians, like the governor there across the street, Greg Abbott. He's one of the prime examples of how and why we are struggling, and that's an opportunity that we have to change. You know, all they do is look out for the big corporations and the wealthy donors. At the end of the day, that is all they are interested in, and that's all they care about. And that's something that we have, again, the opportunity to change and work on. We should be able to do more than just get by. We shouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck. And the majority of the state of Texas, unfortunately, is having to do that. And it shouldn't be like that. We need leaders who are going to be serious about providing solutions. We need leaders that are going to work for the working people of Texas. And this November, we'll make that clear by voting for the change that we know that we need. And so as we go into that, and as we are getting into that election, we have candidates that we are working with and candidates that we are talking to as we're going through this cycle. And one of those folks that helps us do that is our Director of Politics and Policy, Emily Epps.
Thank you, Leonard. And with the help of our union brothers, siblings, and sisters across our state, this year's Texas AFL-CIO Labor Votes program will be our biggest yet. And our goals are simple. We want to increase the labor movement's impacts in this election by increasing voter turnout among our ranks. And we know that union members and voters in union households turn out at higher rates than their general public counterparts. In 2022, union members and union households, voted 8.1% higher than non-union voters and over 11% higher in 2024. And this year, we want to increase that percentage even more. We also want to identify more union activists who will knock on doors, make calls, send text messages, and write postcards, and develop union leaders so that we can add even more union members on the ballot in future elections. To do this, we must mobilize. We must mobilize activists, volunteers, and voters in targeted areas across our state. Our state has increased union membership by more than 70,000 last year, a 25-year high, with the total number of union members in Texas surpassing Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, now ranking 4th in the nation. These new and not so new union members aren't just in our urban centers. They live in rural, exurban, and suburban communities across Texas. An important goal of our electoral effort is to better connect with these union voters and get them out to vote. To build power long-term, we must build up our internal capacity and infrastructure so that even when the election is over, we're not stopping the work. And of course, our most central goal is to elect pro-worker, labor-endorsed candidates at all levels of government in order to give working Texans the voice they deserve in the halls of Congress, in the state legislature, and in the Commissioner's Court. And as we know, and as Lori mentioned, Texas is a huge state. We've run the numbers, and our goal for this election cycle is to reach a combined nearly 820,000 union members and union household members. Our ground game will be anchored in several counties and federal and state legislative districts, and we're working closely with our central labor bodies and our local labor affiliates to get boots on the ground. But with over 95,000 targeted doors, we also need your help. If you can't knock on doors, that's okay too. You can make calls, send texts, write postcards. Again, it's a big state and we'll need big help to reach 820,000 union members and voters in their households. That leads me to what we're doing to get at the union vote. Our work with our affiliates is crucial to this program, and we want to help them mobilize their members at the door, over the phone, and at their job sites. In addition to visiting work sites, we're increasing the size of our local union mail program exponentially by sending what will likely be tens of thousands of letters from local union leaders to their members. Letters focused on what is at stake this year and why it's so important to vote. And we have several goals we need to meet in order to win this November. As mentioned, this includes knocking on close to 95,000 doors, as well as reaching out via calls and texts to over 150,000 phone numbers, a number we hope to expand. In every election cycle, our members handwrite thousands of postcards to their fellow union members. And we layer all of that with direct mail, digital ads, earned media, social media, and emails. And as mentioned above, we continue to focus on training the next generation of leaders and activists. And finally, but maybe most important in this election cycle, we will stand ready to defend our elections and make sure the ballots can be fairly cast and counted. Before you can say it can't be done, let me share with you what our members accomplished ahead of the SD9 special election, March primary, and the May runoff this year. In a short amount of time, union members contacted over 471,000 fellow union members. And for two of our Union First candidates that you'll hear from this evening, Union voters likely made the difference between winning and losing. And now we have a chance to do that all over again at the statewide level and at SD9. And I'd like to welcome one of those candidates, the state senator for Tarrant County, Senate District 9, Taylor Ramett, a rank and file member of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, who in January, with labor's help, outperformed Trump's winning margin by 17 points and handily won a ruby red district. So please welcome Senator Ramett.
And sisters, my special election proves something important. When union members show up, working people can win. And on November 3rd, Texas union members can make the difference again. I'm proud to be the first rank and file union member ever elected to the Texas Senate. But I'm not the only union member and pro-labor candidate on the ballot this year. More than a dozen of us are running across Texas because working people deserve more voices in the rooms where decisions are made. We know what's at stake. Better wages, affordable health care, strong public schools, the right to retire with dignity after a lifetime of work. But none of it happens by itself. We need you talking to your coworkers, knocking doors, making calls, sending texts, having those conversations in your union halls and in your neighborhoods. We proved we can win. Now we have to do it again. Your union needs you. I need you. Texas needs you. Sign up tonight and get in the fight with us. We'll see you out there.
Yeah, that's right. So like Senator Ramett said, we need each of you to sign up. Your union needs you. Our state needs you. We're going to use this momentum that is built around his election to keep carrying that torch of having union first candidates on the ballot. And yes, we do have more than a dozen. We have 15 union first candidates on the ballot this November. And today I am joined by 3 of those individuals. They are going to come on and talk about how union first candidates are breaking ground in Texas. So thank y'all all for joining us and having this conversation to fire up our base, mobilize and energize our army of union activists, sharing with them how y'all are doing some breaking ground and shifting the politics here in Texas. While y'all introduce yourselves, the first question I pose to each of you is, what makes rank and file union candidates different? So let's start with Kyle. Introduce yourself, your name, your union, and what office you're seeking.
Yeah, thanks, Lorraine. So my name is Kyle Rabel. I am a member of CWA 6186, or Texas State Employees Union. I'm running out in West Texas for CD19, so that takes anywhere from Lubbock to Abilene and Big Spring all the way up to like Muleshoe, Texas. And what makes rank and file candidates different is that we actually know how real life works. We've worked real jobs. We can tell you how much things cost because no one's buying them for us. And we know how to make the workplace better and safer. And that's what we're going to fight for at every moment that we get into office. And I'm just excited to be on this panel with everyone and excited to be here this evening.
Thanks for that. All right, I'll pass it over to Representative Lauren Ashley Simmons.
Hey y'all, so thanks so much for the opportunity to speak with y'all. I'm actually on my way back home from Austin. We had a healthcare affordability hearing today. And I'm just, really quick, I'm the chairwoman and founder of the Labor and Workforce Caucus in the state legislature. We didn't have one before I got there. I spent my career in labor organizing. I was with the State Employees Union. I spent almost 5 years with AFT, with the Teachers Union. I've organized retail workers. I've organized domestic workers. And just like Kyle said, we are on the ground. We know what the issues are because our people are facing it every single day. I mean, listen, right now, affordability is what everybody is talking about. And not just affordability. The other part that, I think sometimes gets left off when we're having conversations about labor is the consumer protection aspect, right? We're seeing that when we say that every single regulation is written in blood. We don't mean that lightly. We don't mean that jokingly. That means that people's lives were on the line, people got hurt, and it was labor that stepped in and say, hey, we have to have better working conditions. Hey, we got to make sure that our people have access. I mean, look, safe food, right, on the shelves in the grocery store. It's not only that we can't afford it, it's not even safe to consume it. And so these are the conversations that we're having on the ground. We know what our issues are. We know what people care about. And so I'm really excited and so fired up to be on doors, to be on the phones, and really, really getting that vote out, because we can turn the tide in Texas. It's very exciting. I keep telling Monty, I was like, girl, I can't wait for January, because we have so much work to do to fully flesh out our labor caucus. But thanks again. And like I said, I'm ready to fight, ready to work.
Thanks for that, Representative Simmons. Montserrat Garibay, introduce yourself to the audience and let us know, in your opinion, what makes rank and file union candidates different.
Yes, thank you, Lorraine. Buenas tardes, everyone, and happy birthday to President of the Texas AFL-CIO, Leonard, for today, for your birthday. But, you know, I am a bilingual teacher and a union leader, and I am running, I'm the candidate for the Democratic nominee for the Texas House District 49. And what makes a rank file union candidate different? Well, we know what it means to be part of a union. We just not only receive the endorsement, but we also know how to organize. We show up and we stand with our coworkers. We also understand that no elected official creates change by themselves. Workers create change when they organize and when they act collectively. And so union members bring something very different and very important to the elected office, right? We know how to listen, we know how to negotiate, we know how to build coalitions, and sometimes we also have difficult conversations without losing sight of the bigger goal. And we also understand accountability, right? When you come out of the labor movement, you remember who sent you there. And we know who we're fighting for. So for me, being an elected doesn't mean leaving the movement. It means bringing the movement with me into the Capitol. And I am excited and grateful to serve the state of Texas, but also House District 49, bringing my whole self in, authentically fighting for the fights that we need to have in the state of Texas.
No, thank you for that. And that reminder of that lens of like how the three of y'all share an organizer lens, and y'all are approaching the campaign work and how you're going to govern once y'all are all in office with that organizer approach, fostering coalitions and bringing people in and making the table larger. And many of y'all touched upon like how y'all are bringing in your lived experiences, one, and then also y'all just being close to the ground. Any additional priorities you want to share about your candidacy and what you are wanting to prioritize when in office that you want to share with folks today? And we'll start with Monse and then bring it back with Lauren and then Kyle.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. You know, I love how at the beginning when you and Leonard stated the priorities. Well, the priorities that you share are the priorities that, you know, when I was with the Texas AFL-CIO and when I was a union member, we fought for, right? Strong public school, good jobs, fair wages, affordable healthcare, housing, but also dignity for every worker. And I want Texas to be the state where working people can actually afford to live in the communities where they work. And that's something that I heard time and time and again and when I was blog walking and just working with people. Now, I think it's very important in District 49, we have to protect, and in the state of Texas, we have to protect public education and make sure that educators and school employees are respected and that they are paid as the professionals that they are. There's no need for them to have 3 or 4 or 5 jobs sometimes because they need to focus on making sure that our most important assets in our communities, our students, have good healthcare, have good education, so they can thrive in our state. And one of the things is that I want to strengthen the voice of workers at the Capitol. Too many decisions are made about workers without workers at the table. And so for me, my my question is very simple. Does this policy make better life for working families? That's going to be what I'm coming into the Capitol, always asking that question whenever I have to make decisions.
Thanks for sharing that. All right, Representative Simmons, any additional priorities you want to share with us?
Yeah, I'm excited about building on the work that I did in my first term, in my first session in the legislature. I mean, you know, the composition of legislature right now makes it really hard. But like I said, I'm used to fighting. I'm a labor organizer in Texas. I have a level of pragmatism that I bring to my work. So of course, you know, I want to make sure that we're fully funded education, you know, expanding healthcare access. But I have some big dreams. I operate under a level of delusion, you know, that comes from my background in organizing. I want to, you know, overturn the right to work ban, the right to work legislation in this state. I want to raise the minimum wage. I want to expand Medicaid. Like, I want to ensure that Texas is delivering on its promises for working people. We have a lot of work to do, and our folks are suffering right now. And so, you know, having some of these silly debates that we have in the House about, you know, this culture war thing or another, our people are telling us they want something different. They're ready for a change. And so, you know, right now I currently serve on the Appropriations Committee. I'm on Public Health Committee. I'm also on the Healthcare Affordability Select Committee, talking about real people's issues, right? But I want that to go beyond just kind of what we're doing right now and having these really small, you know, debates. I want us to think really big about what it means to build Texas for our future. We are the 8th largest GDP when you think about, you know, what that means, but a lot of our people don't feel that. That does not feel, you know, we don't see it in our paychecks. We don't see it in the opportunities that we have to be able to retire with dignity. So those are my priorities. I'm coming in and I want to work, build on what we did. But I also, you know, I got my fingers crossed because I want us to flip in the House and think about what it means to have a labor-focused state legislature. And we have to, you know, flesh out our caucus. I'm gonna be doing some organizing with the Labor Caucus to recruit as many of my colleagues as possible, because again, it's working people that elected us. If it affects working people, it's a labor issue.
Love it. Love the boldness, giving us the imagination or the permission to dream big. So I appreciate that. Kyle.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to follow up all of that.
Let's keep it big. What do you want to do in Congress for working families in Texas?
I want to take everything we just talked about at the state level and bring it up to the federal level. I think one of the things that I hear the most is, what are you going to do when you get into Congress? What can you actually do? And I said, I don't know, but all I know is how to work. So unlike everyone else that we send to Congress, I'll just continue to work. I'm not there for vacation or to make money. For the most part, I want to be able to come back home to Lubbock to my family. And I actually, one of the biggest things that I'm super excited to do, and it is something that I launched just yesterday, is my own American Family First plan, where I call for caps on things like diapers, wipes, and things like that. So I have a 1-year-old son and a daughter on the way in October. And so these things I know impact the worker, because I'm looking at the price of diapers going, holy cow, how am I going to afford this? So we need to fix these things. We also need to ensure that our children are taken care of. So I am calling for Medicare for all children under the age of 18 at the federal level, along with a voucher system paid for by tier for children to be able to go to daycare because it costs so much. And finally, I think that we need to pay our mothers while they're on maternity leave. And so I want a federal mandate that women get paid at least 3/4 of their base pay while on maternity leave. And that would be federally mandated, that a company, or if you work for the state institutions, you're paid that. We are now in a system that it requires a 2-income household to be even mildly effective in this country. And so if we're going to make that happen, we need to ensure that our families are paid when they're having kids. And as someone whose partner was not paid while she was on maternity leave, and we're about to face that again, I know how detrimental that was to our budget. I might have also launched a congressional campaign when we did that. But I know what this impact is. And I think that it's time that we fight for working class families in Congress just as much as we pretend like we care about them in today's world.
Love it. Love the personal connection. Love how it's just rooted in economic. Sorry, there's an echo. I'm so sorry. Okay. Now, Representative Simmons, you touched a little bit on a labor caucus and being bold in that space. Can you share with folks what it is and how is it a mechanism to use as legislators to push bold policy.
Absolutely. So when I found out that we didn't have a labor caucus in our state legislature, that was one of my campaign promises, is to make sure that I'm bringing the voices of working people to the Capitol, to the table. You know, we don't have a state income tax here. So if you've bought a pack of gum, you're a taxpayer. And like I said before, if if it touches working people, it's a labor issue. And so there are so many bills that, we filed, so many decisions that are made, and a lot of times it just felt like the perspective of labor was missing. And so the goal of our caucus is to hold true to our campaign promises. I remember being an organizer, and endorsement season comes around and everybody wants to come in there and say, my grandma was part of this union, my uncle was a painter and a longshoreman, and it's like, yeah, but what does that actually mean, right? Like, I'm glad that you have that connection, but how are you going to deliver results for working people? And so part of this is really an accountability measure. It's a way for y'all in labor, for us to hold us accountable. It's a way for our voices to be at the table. And again, it means something for us to be able to push our policies forward and say, hey, this is what this may do for this industry. This is what, how good this is for business, but this is the impact on the worker. I want teachers to be leading on public education issues. I want our healthcare professionals to be able to have a voice when we're talking about healthcare policy. And so this is the best way for us to do it. We know we're the experts in our sectors. It's past time for our voices to be loud and heard in the Capitol. So that was the excitement, that I had in bringing it. It's in its infancy. It's a baby caucus, but like I said, I have Monty, I have Adrian, I got Taylor on the other side of the chamber, and we got a lot of work to do, but I'm excited.
Yes, we do have a lot of work to do, and I appreciate the excitement and cannot wait to get additional folks in there to help spearhead this alongside with you. And as we wrap up, rapid round fire, last question for everybody. How can we get more union candidates on the ballot? What are some ideas from the group? And we'll start with Montserrat.
Thank you, Lorraine. Well, first of all, last October, I participated in the first Texas AFL-CIO Labor Candidate School. And that I still have my binder, and I highlighted and I use it all the time when I decided to run for Texas House District 49. So I would definitely ask you and Leonard to have another one, because we already have union members who are leaders in our communities, who know how to organize, and now it's about time that we amplify them, that we identify who can actually run a campaign, how we can help them. And that class was the best. Also, you already have the Ruth Ellinger School, where you're identifying leaders, teaching them the basics of organizing the labor movement. So I think, again, we have a great opportunity to really tap into great leaders who have been doing the work already, and just guide them through the process. But also, I think for me, one of the things that I truly believe is in mentoring others. I didn't think I was going to run for office, but the opportunity came in, and I had a great support system. And the fact that, all the different unions endorse our campaign and help us throughout the process was something that gave me a lot of inspiration and hope. And then, blog walking and phone banking and doing all of that. So we should be sitting inside and making the decisions with and along with other union members. So really being bold and saying, yes, why not me? It's important.
So thank you. Kyle, a quick idea that you may have?
Yeah, and I think we've talked about it, but I think one of the biggest issues also is our locals need to help identify leaders within that local and say, hey, I think you could do this. Let's target this race with you. I think anywhere from school boards to county commissioners to city council seats to mayors to state house, the state senate, to Congress, all the way up. I think that it's up to the locals to also identify strong leaders, push them through the schools and the systems that we have, but also just say, I believe in you, go for it, and play ball, which is kind of what I did, right? And that's the best way to do it, is just make sure that you have someone like the local is standing in the corner of that person going, we got you, no matter what you're doing, whatever we figure it out, we'll figure it out with you.
Good point. Yes. Representative Simmons, any quick ideas on how do we increase the numbers of union members running for office? No. Oh, if there may be some audio issues, I think you're definitely muted.
There may be some audio issues. I think you're definitely muted. Can y'all hear me now? I'm driving through like a patchy area, so creating opportunity.
Oh no, we lost you, Representative Simmons.
Oh no. Hello, can y'all hear me? Hello. Sorry about that. Yeah, like I said, I'm on the road, but I think it's just about creating training opportunities. Labor, we have the tools, we know what our issues are, and we do a really good job of building up leaders. I think about some of the building reps that I interacted with my time at the teachers union. A lot of them would be great elected officials. They would be great city council folks. They'd be great school board members, state house members. And so it's just making sure that our people have the tools and the resources. Listen, I primaried an incumbent 2 years ago, and I wouldn't have won that race. I don't win that race without labor being behind me, because it took resources, it took boots on the ground. And so, you know, part of my work in my time in office is going to be helping other folks like me, you know, pull them through the ranks and say, hey, look, you got to do this. You got to stand up. I'll never forget the conversation I had with Rick when I was running. I said, hey, I think I'm going to run for state house. And he was like, Lauren, don't BS me. Don't get me excited. He was all in. Let me it was day one. And so that meant something to me. It meant that, you know, my union brother believed in my ability to lead people and do a good job. So yeah, I'm glad that we have our training schools. We have to get more people, you know, involved. And part of the work that the Labor Caucus will be doing is to ensure, you know, that we are expanding opportunities. I would love for us to have an apprenticeship or an internship program the same way that we have like TLIB and some of the university programs, where we allow union workers to come be staffers at the Capitol and get a full experience, so that we can train them and they can, you know, either if they want to run for office or do other things. But we have to make sure we're exposing our folks, because let me tell you, the Texas legislature is not designed for regular working people like us to be members, right? It's a part-time job. That means it's a part-time salary. We all have full-time jobs, and so we have to have, you know, opportunities and create opportunities for our people to thrive in those situations. But there is no better person than a union member, a union organizer, to take that mantle and lead folks. So yeah, and I'm committed to making sure that, you know, there's a lot more union members, a lot more rank and file union members in the state house and in the state legislature.
Amazing. Listen, y'all, the three of y'all brought so much knowledge and insight into today's conversation. I'm fired up. I want to continue empowering folks to run for office, because that is going to be key in shifting the politics here in Texas. So thank y'all for sacrificing your time, saying yes to run. And we appreciate today's conversation with y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. That was amazing. And again, thank you to Montserrat, and thank you to Rep. Simmons, and thank you to Kyle. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and your story, your why. A lot of times we forget, you know, the reasons that are there, and you guys are obviously bringing it from the personal experience. And so one thing that I ask everybody is, you know, these guys need help. They're running for office, so donating to their campaign or volunteering for us and helping us as we start working for the campaign, as we're doing our Texas Labor Votes 2026 program. That's something that we're going to need, and we're talking about getting more members involved and more members engaged. And it doesn't matter if you're in Houston, Texas, or Austin, Texas, or up in Lubbock, or by the Panhandle, or out in West Texas. It is something that connects us all, like we talked about earlier. So this is an opportunity for us to come together and to be able to make our future for ourselves, for our unions, for our families. This is our time, and this is something that we should take, and we should take a hold of it and not let it go. And with that, I have the great honor and the great opportunity. We heard from some amazing leaders here in the state of Texas, and now we're going to be hearing from somebody who I am in awe every time I get to see him speak, or even just to get to be in the room with him and hear how he is taking his story and taking his union into the next level, and how he is getting to those job sites, how he's talking to his members, how he's changing the status quo. It is not the same old union that we've come from before. It is changing the story, changing the narrative, and really just it's an impressive story. It's an inspirational story of what General President Jimmy Williams Jr. is doing with the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. And it's just an honor to have you here, General President Williams. If you can, sir, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about what you think about Texas, how important it is in this cycle, and then just the work that you guys are doing there at the Painters.
Sure thing, Leonard. And first, let me say, what an honor it is to be here tonight with the folks from the Texas State AFL-CIO. Most importantly, Leonard and Lorraine for stepping into your roles and to advance the movement that was started by folks before you and take it to a completely different level and take our movement into the future. Congratulations on all the work you guys are doing down there. Just being on this call today gives you the energy that you need to get by when you know things are rough. You can feel the energy coming from the state of Texas. I can feel it. I also want to say a shout out to our local leaders in the state of Texas from District Council 10, our business manager, Chip Fleetwood, and our political director, Jennifer Hernandez, who are working tirelessly to make sure they're out there getting our membership engaged in the fight. Look, what you guys talked about tonight is what we hear on job sites all throughout the United States. Shit's too expensive. Wages aren't keeping up with the cost of living. Public education being under attack, people being told what they're supposed to know, people being told how they're supposed to think without any oversight from our federal government. Healthcare, the cost of healthcare going through the roof. You hear about things like people not being able to even plan for a retirement, let alone think about what it means to retire. These are the things that we are hearing from our members all throughout the United States every single day when we're talking to them. And if you need any sort of motivation down there in the state of Texas, I can tell you this. The rest of the country is watching what you all are doing. Just imagine on election day, on the morning of, when we wake up the next day and we elect a new United States Senator from the state of Texas who shares in our values. Just imagine when we win every swing district and we send a message to Washington, D.C. that working people are alive in the South and that working people are organizing in the South. That's what's right in front of you right now in the state of Texas, to have an opportunity to send a message to the entire world. Look, I've spent a lot of my career organizing in the South, and I know it's difficult, but I know things are changing. You can hear it, you can feel it, you can see it. I can tell you a story within our own union. During my 25 years of working for our international union, I was always told, don't go out on strike down in the South. Don't go out on strike. Do the best you can to try to get the best deal for your members. Well, when we had an employer in Houston, Texas, that wanted to strip our members of their hard-earned pensions and strip them of their dignity in work and take away their collective bargaining agreement, we took a risk this year and we said, fuck it, we're going out. And we took a walk and we went on strike and we lasted for 7 weeks out on a strike line. And we had the support of the Texas Gulf Coast AFL-CIO, the Texas State AFL-CIO, and every other union that stood there with us. And our members not only won their right to keep their pension, they won a raise, and they won their collective bargaining agreement. That's the power we're trying to build, both in our unions and in our government. And the message you can send to the rest of this country is that when working people stick together, we can win. Look, the last thing I'll say is this. The old playbook is getting old. Donald Trump has had the trifecta in the legislation now for the last 2 years. He hasn't done anything to help working people. And he's had a Supreme Court that is the biggest right-wing Supreme Court that our country has ever seen. And they've done nothing to help working people. Things have gotten worse in the last 2 years. And as you're out talking to your fellow brothers and sisters in our movement and beyond, remind them of that. Remind them of the playbook of old doesn't work. When corporate controlled politicians use things like race and use things like gender and use things like wanting folks to fight with one another, it hasn't worked to help working people. Remind them that when you're speaking to them, and continue to talk about how shit's too expensive, about how our education system is under attack, how healthcare is too expensive, and how our pensions and retirement need to be at the center of what any politician wants to do if they're going to earn your support. Thank you, Leonard and Lorraine, and it was a pleasure to be here tonight.
General President Williams, and again, the work that you guys are doing, and again, the words that you speak day in and day out, it's a constant drumbeat. It is us versus them. And that example of the strike in Houston, the work that Jennifer did and Chip and the rest of the IUPAT team, District 10 team, along with everybody else that came together for that was amazing to see that come through. And that was the first of a couple different opportunities, I guess, of strikes happening in the state of Texas that typically don't ever happen. And so we were honored to be there, proud to stand with you then. We're gonna stand with you today and moving forward into the future. And you're right, we can't continue to do the same old, same old. We can't continue to do that. We have to change, and we have, again, the opportunity is within reach. It's up to us to be able to do that. And it's just so inspiring. I think it was Monse who had talked about one of the candidate school and then the training that we're doing. And she also mentioned the Ruth Ellinger program. And the next person that we're going to have come on is a graduate of that Ruth Ellinger program. And she's working now with IBW Local 60 as an assistant business manager and treasurer. And if you could help me welcome a leader, she's leading by example. She's putting in the work. She's doing the work. She's doing everything that needs to be done, not only for herself, but for her membership and for her community. And that's Shansan Hayes with IBW 60 in San Antonio. How are you doing? You're on mute.
My name is Shansan Hayes. I'm a licensed journeyman electrician here, and I serve my local as assistant business manager in a dispatcher role at IBEW 60 in San Antonio. So I didn't really come through this work through a classroom setting, but through the tools. With almost 10 years in the trade, it's taught me that power doesn't just run through wires. It runs through workplaces. It runs through contracts. And it runs through who gets a seat at the table. So when I moved into my role as a dispatcher, I was able to see up close how much stronger a worker is when they're organized and how exposed they are when they're not. So these are some of the reasons why I do the work that I do, such as being on the executive board of the San Antonio Central Labor Council and working with organizations like the Coalition of Black Trade Unions. This is not something that's simply theoretical, but it's the difference between a worker being able to come home safe or not. And it's also the difference between getting paid what you earn or getting shorted. So right now, workers across the state are being asked to do more for less. And this is not something that changes just because that we agree it's wrong. It changes because we show up. So here's my ask of you today. We need hands on deck to knock on doors, to work phone banks, and to show up at the Capitol. So I'm gonna ask you to pull out your phone right now and please sign up to volunteer. The website is texasaflcio.org/volunteer. And this is because power should flow to the people who are doing the work. Please help us make sure that it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Shansan. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for taking the time. And again, thank you for your leadership and the work that you do. And as we get to the end of the program here, we want to thank everybody for being here. I mean, it's been said, this has been an inspiring time to be here and to listen to the panel, to listen to General President Williams. And I mean, I think people are tired, right? Union voters are tired. The working people of Texas are tired. This is an opportunity. We're sick of the lies. We're sick of the BS. I mean, we're just sick of it, right? We're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we're tired of these politicians here in Austin and across the state, and the ones that come here every couple of years for session, of siding with the billionaires and the corporations. It's obvious what they do. It's obvious who they cater to, and it's obvious who they care for. And they don't care for us, the working people of Texas. And that's why it's so important for us to stand up. That's why it's so important to have union members running for office, because that's going to be a trusted messenger. It is somebody that we can trust. It's an authentic message. It's a true message. And we're going to be able to trust that and trust those folks that are running for office like we had, like Rep. Simmons, like Monse and Kyle, right? Just to name a few. I mean, trust in the messenger and trusting unions is growing in leaps and bounds. I think today President Schuler did a show, and it was, I think she said 71% of Americans approve of unions right now. That's as high as it's almost as it's ever been. This is the time, folks. This is the time where we need to. This is the time where the workers of Texas can make their voices heard. And this is the opportunity. We are roughly 60 days or 60 plus days out from voting, from our future, from our livelihoods. Are we happy with the same old, the same lies, the same BS? Or do we want a change that's going to better ourselves, our families, and our communities? That's within our grasp. That's something that we can do. So again, like it was said, we need your help. We need your help. We need you to sign up. We need you to volunteer. You can see it there on the screen, texasaflcio.org/volunteer. We need help to knock on doors. We need help to make phone calls. We need help to send texts. This has been an honor to be here. I appreciate everybody that came on and spoke on the call. Thank you guys very much. And in solidarity, Lorraine.
Yeah, a different Texas is just within sight. A better Texas is within sight, and we all have that opportunity to make history here in our state, but only if we get out the vote for our pro-worker candidates. So sign up. It's going to take each of us doing our due diligence to put in the work to ensure that we can create a better Texas. Because when we fight, we win.
We win.
So thank y'all so much. Sign up, and we look forward to seeing you out in the field.